up, you guys? Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We have a lot to get into today. We're talking about Stephen A. Smith and how he slammed Russell Westbrook, but Russell's wife, Nina, rushed to his defense. We're also talking... Sorry about that, you guys. My computer audio is on. We're also talking about Dame Lillard and his loyalty. Is he loyal to a fault? But before we do all that, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter @JRayTheFanatic. I want to really quickly give a super shout out and we miss you to Nipsey Hussle, because it was 2 years ago today that he was taken from us. So shouts out to Nipsey Hussle and his family as well, because that one hurt. It's 2 years ago today. That's crazy. It doesn't even feel. What's going on with time? It's just going. It feels like yesterday.
It really does feel. It feels like. 2 years. It feels way longer than. Way more recent than that. Yeah, so, gosh, thank you for drawing attention to that, Jackie. I actually wasn't aware that today was the 2-year anniversary of his death, so rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle and sending love to his family. Also, you guys, I want to quickly remind you that we do have Fannerfo coming up on Friday, so if you guys have anything that you would like us to address, any comments, questions, criticisms, compliments, we'll take them all. Just put it in the chat. We'll screenshot. We're going to be screenshotting through tomorrow to talk about everything on Friday at the end of the show. Jackie, Devin, also really, what?
Do you have one guess as to who is going to give us an immediate comment right now in the chat about Fannerfo? Any guess? Do you have a guess at all? Just think about it for a second.
It's going to be Jeremiah Smith. Jeez, Jeremiah Smith always in the chat saying something. Yep, we'll probably capture something that you've said, Jeremiah. We gotta get a nickname for him. What's a good nickname for Jeremiah?
Don't put me on the spot like that, because it'll be the worst nickname ever. I'll think about it.
Look, he's already getting mad at us in the chat. Jeremiah Smith, just be patient, dude. Come on, relax a little bit. Also, really quickly, because I cannot help myself, we are matching today, wearing the black, Jackie, and I love it. We look great. So I think that is our sign to jump right into the news here. I'm very curious to hear your take on this Russell Westbrook, Nina Westbrook, Stephen A. Smith drama. So Stephen A. Smith just completely slammed Russell's history-making night the other night. Leo, when you're ready, can you roll that clip for us?
Last night mean absolutely nothing to me, because even though that's great numbers, that's what Westbrook can do. We all know this. He's a former league MVP. He's the most athletic point guard we have ever seen in NBA history. He's been, I believe it was 4 conference finals in his career. We know this, but here's the reality of the situation. Russell Westbrook, when we look at his game, it's the same stuff every year.
So in case you guys couldn't hear it in the beginning, I know the audio was a little bit low at first, but he was just saying that Russell's numbers, that history-making night that he had, it means absolutely nothing because his game hasn't changed. And he also said this, here's the thing, he said, because the Wizards aren't very good, they're not going anywhere. You're 17-28 in the Eastern Conference, for crying out loud. You're not going anywhere, and this isn't the first time Russell has played on a team that has fallen short. Stephen A. Smith also added that he wishes Russell had more of those, quote, competitive fires, that will to win, to develop his long-range game at least a little bit. And then here's the other kicker. He also went on to say that if Russell was a better three-point shooter, he would have won a championship by now. So it was really kind of a frustrating thing to watch, because this was a celebratory moment for Russell. It was exciting that he was able to accomplish that crazy stat line, that he had such an impressive performance. And yes, we do have high expectations for Russell because he is a good player, but that doesn't mean we need to completely take away from a really remarkable night. And so this really triggered Nina Westbrook a lot, and she took to her Instagram to call out Stephen A. She posted a few slides, but what she said was, She recalled how Russell was watching a UCLA game recently, and he recognized an announcer who had criticized Russell when he was just an athlete in college. And then Nina kind of used that example to drive home the point that words matter. She said Russell, I guess, was watching that game and said, imagine if I had listened to what that guy said about me. I wouldn't have ended up where I am now. And so she said that Stephen A is not going to get any of Russell's attention either, and that people need to be careful about what they're saying on a nationally broadcast televised show. She added, ironically, Russell makes history and Stephen A. Smith comes out of nowhere to share his non-congratulations. When he does bad, we hear about it. When he does well, we don't hear about it, or Stephen A. has to make sure that his accomplishments are diminished. Respectfully, I'm not a fan of yours. She concluded saying that Russell is the happiest that he's ever been, championship or not, and she's tired of playing Stephen A's game. She said that they both just want out. They're over it. They don't want to keep hearing about Stephen A complaining about Russell or doing everything he can to detract from his accomplishments. I thought it was actually a pretty well said clapback. Russell also responded to the criticism that he received from Stephen A. And so, Leo, when you get a second, can you put that clip up there for us?
And once I made it to the NBA, like I grew up in the streets. I'm a champion. Like nobody can. I don't have to be an NBA champion. I know many people that got NBA champions that's miserable, have done nothing for their community, have done nothing for the people in our world.
I really, really appreciated what Russell said here. He said, the moment I made it into the NBA, I became a champion because he overcame obstacles. He overcame so much to be able to get where he is. So his worth, his value, his career isn't going to be summed up by a championship win. And of course he wants that. That's what every NBA player wants, but he's able to recognize that he was able to make it this far. And that alone is something to celebrate and be proud of. And, you know, that's a life-changing moment for him to make it into the NBA and make it as far as he has. So I think that was really well said. And I do want to say, I know that as a sports, commentator, sports host, it's Stephen A's job to have an opinion. It's his job to get on the air and say something that's going to get people to share it online, tweet about it, tune in, whatever it is. I understand that. But I think that Russell and Nina both brought up good points here that, the things we say on a television show or when we're commentating on when you're a commentator for a college basketball game, that can have long-lasting, far-reaching impacts on the people that you're discussing. And sometimes it's okay to take that step back and acknowledge and give credit where credit is due. So those are my thoughts on all of this. Jackie, what is your reaction to the way Nina and Russell handled Stephen A's criticism?
So I think people forget that, winning a championship is hard. It's, a lot of people who are very successful in the NBA don't actually win a championship. And Stephen A., I watched that whole clip about him talking about Russell, and he was like, he played with James Harden, he played with John Wall, he played with Victor Oladipo, as if that means, first of all, he didn't play with Victor Oladipo that long. That's number one, or John Wall. But Victor Oladipo doesn't have a championship. John Wall doesn't have a championship. James Harden does not have a championship. Obviously, that's why he wanted to make the move. And we're going to talk about Dame and what he said later. This is why people move around, though, specifically to get a ring, because you have to realize what I have going on here does not work. You really do have to put on this on the coach. And Stephen A. did say that. That's why I don't want to completely detract from what he was saying, because he did say, how do you have the worst defense in the league? That is a coaching problem. I've said a lot of times you can really trace back situations to the coaching problem. Stephen A. also said Russell hasn't changed his style of play. I'm on the fence with that one because Russell has played hero ball his whole entire life. That's just how he plays. He's that hurry up offense. If you bring a guy like Russell onto your team, you bring him on because you feel like you can make that work for your team. That being said, he has slowed down and he has learned how to be different, a little bit more versatile in his style of play. Not completely, but he's definitely a little bit more versatile in his style of play now versus when he was with OKC. So he is a different type of player. But to say that he's not a champion, no, that's incorrect, because you can't win a championship by yourself. The correct thing is the teams that he's been on have not been championship teams. That's the thing you need to say, because last time I checked, there's a whole starting lineup. And so you can't blame this on one guy. And that's the part that really upsets me, is when people start saying, oh, this specific guy can't win a championship. He needs this person. Yeah, he needs a whole squad to win. And so that's where I get bothered by it. I'm very proud of Russell, because to say that he's not a champion, if that's almost like you haven't seen him play. That man goes out there and gives 110% every single game. If you don't want to win and ultimately win it all, you just don't do that. You're a little lackluster, especially when you're doing this year after year and it doesn't work. Then you just kind of give up a little bit mentally, and he hasn't done that. So to me, I agree with him. There's champion rings, and then there's being a champion. Russell doesn't have the ring, but to me, he's still definitely a champion, and I agree with him. And relationship goals, I want my significant other to go ahead and battle Stephen A. online for me. I was all about that.
I know, me too. She's so loyal, and I love that. It was really cool of her to, go on a public forum and actually call out somebody like Stephen A. Smith. But speaking of that, do you think that this was necessary to respond to for Nina and Russell? Because Stephen A. gets on the air and says crazy stuff all the time. And then we see people like Kevin Durant, who always has to, we're actually going to be getting into some craziness with Kevin Durant in the post-up, but that's going to happen later on in the show. But we see KD get online and he starts clapping back at everybody who has anything negative to say about him. And, we've seen Russell go at people, especially fans, in the stands, which I actually love those moments as well. But was it necessary for Russell and Nina to respond? Is this something that they could have just ignored and brushed under the rug? Or are you glad that they took the time to draw attention to it?
I think, when you read Nina's post, I think perhaps if we weren't in the middle of March Madness, maybe they wouldn't have said anything, because Russell's used to people saying whatever they say about him. But Nina says they were sitting there and they were watching the UCLA game, and some commentators said some things about a kid, and then that kind of triggered Russell. He said, what if I had believed what these people said about me when I was in college? What if this kid internalizes that? And a lot of people miss that what these commentators say and whatever narrative they push about a certain player does impact whether these kids get drafted or not. So if this had been any other day where they weren't sitting around watching March Madness, if they weren't watching that UCLA game, then maybe they would have let it brush off. But her husband was triggered, first and foremost. And so when you love somebody, when they're triggered, you're triggered. Your mess is my mess. That's just how it goes when you love somebody. So to know that he had to overcome not only everything that he had to overcome just with life, but also the narrative that has been spoken about him since day one. Sometimes you just reach your breaking point and you just feel like you need to say something. So if that's the point that they were at, I'm 100% for that. And Russell's message, I think, is very important too, because I think for some reason people overlook that this is still just a game. And Russell is using this to not only provide for his family, but to provide for his community and to help build generational wealth for people outside of his family. That's huge. That is a legacy. That is something that we're going to remember far after he's playing basketball. So in this moment in time, I think they were triggered by the fact that he started to remember some of the things that he went through, because somebody, and they didn't specify who they were talking about, but some kid who plays for UCLA, or at least during that last game, was being spoken of negatively by the commentators, and that triggered them. And I'm not mad. If you're triggered, especially in a way that makes you remember some of the negativity that you experience, and I agree with you. You're right. Stephen A. has a right to have an opinion. I'm not really upset with any opinion that these commentators give regarding grown men in the NBA. But maybe we should be a little bit more mindful that our words do have consequences for these young kids who are trying to get in the NBA. And I really think that's what triggered this whole thing.
I agree with you 100% on that one. I want to just draw attention to some of the comments that we're getting in the chat. Kevin says that Russ's wife shouldn't be entertaining TV host comments. In general, maybe I would agree, but I think that the way she and Russell handled it was really powerful. And then Jeremiah Smith says, how y'all call KD soft, but Westbrook and his wife responds and it's couple goals. The difference here is that KD gets on Twitter and starts responding to literally every single negative tweet that he receives. And these are just random people who are probably sitting in the basement of their parents' home, sending inflammatory tweets to KD just because they know that it's going to piss him off. Russell here and Nina both came out and had very eloquent, well thought out responses to something that Stephen A. Smith said that really detracted from a celebratory accomplishment that Russell achieved. So that's the biggest difference here. KD does this all the time. Russell is not clapping back nearly as often as KD is, and he's not doing it in like the kind of petty way that we see KD do on Twitter. So this was really, I thought, really powerful. Let's move on to the next. Oh,
just really, who said that? Who said that about the? I just need to make a mental note because I have a KD thing coming up in the post up, and I need to see if you're gonna keep this same energy. So who said that? I need to know. Who was it?
Who do you think, Jackie? Who do you
wow.
think?
Big freaking surprise.
All right, let's move on. Speaking of winning a ring, we have to talk about Dame. So he's one of the few guys who stayed with the same team from the get-go, and he has always maintained loyalty to the Trailblazers. He reminded us of all of that with a quote that he said recently. He said, "My loyalty is my biggest flaw. I am too solid for this weird-ass era." So I think loyalty is a good thing, but it also, you can be loyal to a fault. And I want to break that down in just a second. He's probably referring, I would say, to the trade deadline frenzy that we just saw. There are a couple powerhouse teams that are, certainly making it into or who deserve title bids this season. We've got the Nets, who added LaMarcus Aldridge. We have the Lakers, who have Andre Drummond. So there are some really strong teams right now. The Trailblazers brought in Norman Powell from the Raptors. It's a great addition to the team, but he's not a superstar. But Dame wants us to know that he has no intention of moving teams to chase a ring somewhere else. He's going to stick it with the Trailblazers no matter what. I admire him for that. He's not going to change his mind, it doesn't seem like. But is this going to be detrimental to him and his legacy, Jackie? Do you think that your loyalty should only go so far when you're playing a game like professional basketball?
Okay, so I very rarely speak against Dame because it literally goes LeBron, a whole bunch of space, Dame, Russell, Westbrook, and then Rudy Gobert. But those are my guys in the NBA. So I really don't want to say anything disparaging about what he's saying, but it is weird to me for guys to have undying loyalty to organizations that don't have loyalty to you. They have loyalty to you right now, but trust and believe if a situation comes up where they don't think you're viable anymore and they can ship you off and get something that they think is viable and valuable to them, you're gone. So guys saying, people not being loyal, that's weird to me because that organization is not loyal to you. How many times do we have to talk about people getting traded while they're on the sideline? We've seen guys had to go back, get into their street clothes because you're not playing here anymore. We've traded you. You got to sit this game out. Or the bus pull over. I forget who that was. The bus had to pull over because he got traded. So to me, it's weird to have that kind of loyalty to a franchise when in your heart, if you even know business a little bit, you know that they don't have that kind of unyielding loyalty to you because it is a business and you are a part of their business model. That is it. And that is all. So that's weird to me. I do understand loving the city you're in. I understand loving the teammates that you play with, but we've seen those can come and go as well. I understand all of that. But this is where the Stephen A. comment would make sense to me because if you have absolutely no desire to leave an organization that has been unable to produce a championship for you, and you're just like, if this is what it is, this is what it is, and you don't even think about going anywhere, that's weird to me. Because people say, oh, he's chasing a ring. You're damn right. I want the ring, and if I have to go somewhere else to get it, that's what I'm gonna do. And if I sit here and don't get it, I'm not gonna sit here anymore. It's time for me to go. So I love Dame, and I get it. A lot of people love this kind of loyalty thing. I just don't understand it because they're not gonna show you the same loyalty. So it makes no sense to me. I'm not hating on Dame. I'm just saying it makes no sense to me at all.
I have to agree with you on that one, Jackie, because, I think this is something that obviously the fans love to see. A Trailblazers fan loves the fact that Dame is staying loyal and he's sticking around, and it's a really good look. But there was a tweet that I saw in response to that image that I showed you guys earlier with Dame's quote that said, it's a business, not a marriage. And I think that that's the best way to put it. Dame needs to have his own personal goals outside of his team, and hopefully that goal is winning a ring. And if it's not going to happen with the Trailblazers, I think it's a smart move for him. And if the team doesn't feel like they can do it with Dame for whatever reason, it's a smart move for the team to look elsewhere, because that is the goal of NBA basketball. So I don't know, I don't want to fault him for wanting to stick it out with the Trailblazers, but at the same time, I think that it is completely okay, totally warranted and justified for him or the team to explore other options. And we were just talking, I forget what this was in relationship to, but Jackie, you were saying that trades are always being talked about. That might have been an NFL story, actually, now that I think about.
That's my friend who works as an assistant for the NFL, and he said, unless you're like this star athlete at the top of your game, we entertain every trade that comes our way. There's never a time if somebody presents a trade to us, we're going to entertain it and see if it works out for us. We're not going to put it out in the public, but we entertain everything. And that's because it is a freaking business. So again, if you have a situation, and I've said this time and time again, and one of the other parts that I feel like people miss with this kind of loyalty that Dame has is sometimes you need to shake things up. Sometimes you being in another environment makes you a better player. Sometimes a different player on your team makes you a better team. Sometimes those pieces, you don't even know the pieces you need until you actually get them, that kind of thing. So again, I'm not mad at Dame. I just don't understand this kind of loyalty, because again, it's a business, and you are your own business. You are your own brand, and your brand, as we've seen in the chat, is equated to at least your ability to get to the finals. If you can't win a championship, at least get to the damn finals. You know what I mean? So that is one of the things that is tied to your legacy. And if you appear like you're cool to just chill and play basketball and not chase that championship, that's going to be something that people talk about. If that's who you are as a person, I'm not hating on it. But the undying loyalty just because is weird to me. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't get it at all. Kevin says business is business, but Dame doesn't seem to respect players running to join super teams, and you have to respect that. I mean, I don't have a problem with super teams. Yeah.
I don't respect it at all. I don't. Because here's the thing. Again, if you building a dope team, that's not against NBA rules. And if you guys want to play together, and so here now you don't like guys going to super team, but now you on this whack squad that got to play against the super team. That doesn't make any sense. You need to figure out how to build your own damn super team. I don't agree with that at all, Kev. I know I usually do agree with Kevin, but not this time.
I think that mentality sets you up for failure, because you can't play on a weak squad and expect that you're going to be able to beat a super team like the Brooklyn Nets. And Doug says, gotta respect the loyalty, but you gotta be selfish sometimes. I mean, that's how I feel too. So you know what, Dame, good on you for wanting to stay so loyal, but I wouldn't be mad if you decided to leave. Let's wrap up. Do what you got to do. We want you to win a ring. All right, well, let's wrap up Need to Know News. Jackie, can you take us into the post-up?
I can. Let me just throw this out there. I believe the Lakers could use a really dope point guard. So throwing it out there, Dame. Let's move on. All right, Jeremiah, since you was out here talking all this, we clapping back at KD. I have the prime example why. This one is weird for me, though, because I would rather have dinner every night with Shaquille O'Neal. Y'all know how I feel about Shaq. And Chuck than to hang out for 5 minutes with Michael Rapaport. Every night I would have dinner with Chuck and Shaq. I cannot stand Michael Rapaport, so I'm actually on Team KD on this one. But let me show you this. Now, this interview, I don't know how it came back up again, but this happened back in December, I believe. And it's funny, you can tell that Chuck and nobody on the TNT panel went to journalism school or went to college for journalism, because Journalism 101 says never ask a yes or no question, because if you do, you're going to get a yes or no. So keep that in mind when you watch this clip from back in December.
Back for the playoffs last year, so you really just been working on your game trying to get back your timing and conditioning, really, to be honest, correct?
Yeah.
Did you see that again?
Yeah.
Let me see that one more time.
Come on, that was hilarious.
Did you do something?
That was great. 'Cause Chuck is like, he answered the question. You said correct. He said yes. He answered the question. Somehow, some way, Michael Rapaport brought this back up, which caused KD to get all in his feelings. And Michael Rapaport put the whole thing on blast. So he said, I received threats and disgusting messages daily because you deserve them. But never in my wildest dreams did I think that KD would be among them. The snake himself, see, bringing it on yourself. The snake himself is now threatening me, bringing up my wife and wants to fight. This is supposed to be America's sweetheart, right? I'm the real MVP. No, you're not. First of all, I don't remember anybody calling KD America's sweetheart.
Right?
I could be. I don't remember.
I don't think anyone's calling him America's sweetheart. In fact, I think it's probably the exact opposite.
Right. So I'm like, who in the you convoluted hell? What is happening here? So anyway, so KD, he posted the messages that KD sent to him, and I'm just gonna touch on a little bit in all of them because these is crazy. And he goes, "You a B word." No lies detected. And then Michael Rapaport said, just do the effing interview. And if you're upset about something they've said, say something up there looking like you were going to cry. And he said, I did the interview. You whathead, tell your baby daddy Chuck to be better at his job and frame his questions better. He gave me 2 options for that. Dumb, you know what? Facts. No lies detected. Let's go on to this next one. KD, you are my friend now. I know sometimes it takes stuff like this, but I think I have the rest of his direct messages. So here, now he sends him this where he says, I don't know why they're still asking for this idiot's opinion. That's something that I think Michael Rapaport posted. And then he said, I heard it all before. He calls him the C word. Chuck doesn't need you as a security, you pale, pasty, all of that. He says, I swear I'm a spit in your face when I see you. Bet your life on it. Meet me on West 17th tomorrow at 10, or better yet, what's your address? 10 a.m. 10 a.m. catch the steak on the corner. Meet me there.
Wait,
okay.
Another thing.
Okay.
Another thing. Who gets into a fight at Catch Steak? That's like a bougie New York restaurant. Yes.
Okay, let me tell you how I took it. I did not know it was a restaurant. How I took it was, let me dot your eye real quick, and you have to go home and put that steak on your eye. That's how I took it. I didn't know it was a restaurant.
It's a restaurant. He's inviting him to come fight him at a bougie restaurant in New York. I don't understand.
That reads so differently to me now that I know it was a restaurant, because I had no idea. I thought he was like, come catch these hands and then go put that steak on your eye. That's what I thought he meant. Now I know. Okay, now it reads a little different. All right, let me get this last one up here. Oh, that's just okay. All right, so apparently at some point he says, you're the B word even for caring how I do an interview. All you do is suck stuff. And okay, let me get to this next one too, because this next one, apparently sometime during this beef that the two of them are having, Michael Rapaport, instead of manning up and catching these hands, he manned up and let his hands do the talking to his lawyer, because KD must have got some cease and desist from Michael Rapaport's attorney, because he said, you call your lawyer, look at the, you know what you are. And he starts laughing. He says, you couldn't talk, whatever. And he says, defamation of character, question mark. Oh, if you need to prove defamation of character, you have to prove that the things that you said were not true. I don't see any lies detected in what KD has said thus far about. He says, so you want to lawyer up your wife mad because you wasting that little bit of money you have on lawyers because you can't take a joke. Ha, ha, ha. Shows who you are. Your wife doesn't even respect you. So, Jeremiah, is this the same? Is this the same as what we saw Russell Westbrook and his wife? Because this is definitely threats. He wasn't at a bougie restaurant, no less. I don't know why, but okay, that read differently to me. But Jeremiah, I want to see you in the chat. Devin, while Jeremiah is getting his thoughts together, did you just not love this whole exchange? I loved it, but maybe I'm weird.
No, I mean, obviously it was entertaining to read, but looking at it, it sounds like high schoolers going at one another, doesn't it? It's just kind of
Yeah.
like they're all these low blows. They're both reaching for like the low hanging fruit here, trying to just say whatever is going to hurt the most or hit the hardest, and it lacks any sort of true, like, I don't know what the word is, but any sort of true intention or intellect or something I would have liked to see. You know, how there was that great clapback that was like, you talked about it, I think, yesterday. Oh, yeah, I threw all the ones at your girl and her friends or whatever. Like, that's the kind of thing I want to see, something really smart and clever. But here with KD and Michael Rapaport, it's just like, you a B word, like you a C word, let's fight.
Right.
It's just kind of like, come on, you guys, you're grown men. Why are you acting like this? I thought it was funny, but I also thought it was kind of lame for Michael to come out and share those screenshots like that.
Because no lies were detected in what Kevin Durant said about him. I'm telling you, that guy gets on my nerves. There is a guy on TikTok, though, that he takes these Twitter beefs and these messages, and he makes a whole song out of them. I'm going to put it in our Slack so y'all can see. I need this to become a song. I just need to see how this one plays out musically, because then I probably would really love it. But just throwing it out there. If you're watching it, I don't know your TikTok name, but you know who you are. But let's go on to this next one. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, his TikTok name is like Lubalin or something like that, and he did the yes,
Which
I know that.
dressing is your favorite? Yeah. Blue cheese has mold in it. I love that guy. If you don't know him, you're probably looking at us like we crazy. But I need him to make this into a whole musical experience. That would be fantastic. But now let's get into this next one, because we still out here building chemistry on Call of Duty, you know, but not necessarily, because AD is playing Call of Duty with Dennis Schroeder, Dennis the Menace, and LeBron calls him. So take a look, and we'll take a listen at LeBron coming through on the call to AD.
What's up, Walt?
What up, Walt?
Oh, yeah, you in the streets, huh?
Yeah, man, DS in the streets. I'm going out.
Y'all in Grizzly World?
Nah, we on COD.
Oh, y'all on COD. Oh,
Yeah, hey, I'm going to the loadout. Yeah, last game.
Yeah. Oh, all right, man.
What's the word?
Ain't shit, Big Bird. I was just calling checking in on you.
Oh, yeah, I ain't no shit. You getting on?
Nah, I'm at Doug's house right now. So I'm treating my foot, bro.
Alright, help me shit.
I'm trying to get back, nigga. I hate you when I get back to the house.
Alright, for sure.
Oh my God, True Holiday was nuts. Alright.
Yo, that clear or no?
I'm up here now, yes.
First of all, this makes me love AD so much more, because he's just like, oh, we chilling. And even when the guy's like, are you at? He's like, oh, yeah, no, we up here. He's just so monotone and calm. But I don't know if y'all saw Dennis the Menace in the back. He was just kind of looking like, hey, Bron, I'm here too. Aw, love this. Love this, that they sounded like my uncles, but this was great. Love to see that they're out here building chemistry. And the most important thing from that conversation is LeBron said, I'm out here rehabbing my ankle. So, okay, let's do that. Let's keep that same energy. All right, let's get to this next one, because I've heard this happen a few times where planes can run into a flock of birds and they cause damage. It's always been weird to me, like the birds don't see this plane, whatever. But I've never seen the actual damage. And the Jazz team plane the plane that they chartered had to take an emergency landing because they ran into a flock of birds. And the damage, you guys, is crazy. I'm going to show you all this. It's insane. So you can see the blood from the birds, which is so tragic. But then the next couple pictures where it shows you up close. So you can see it's all cracked from birds. Was it like pterodactyls? What birds were these? And then let's go to this next one. Tore up the whole, that's one of the engines. And then this one, you can't really see too well, but it's all tore up inside. I think I got a video. Yeah, so you can see it's just tore up inside from birds. That is crazy to me. Obviously, I feel really bad for the birds. I just don't understand. I've never understood birds just like, okay, we're just going to play chicken with the plane. We're just going to keep flying towards the plane. I've never understood that. But this is crazy. I'm just glad everybody is okay, because that damage I've never seen. I've heard this a couple of times, but I've never seen this damage up close. And that truly tripped me out. I'm glad everyone is safe, because damn. But let's get on to this next one because Donovan Mitchell is not KD. He is not about to go out here and just react to people hating on him. He's just gonna like the tweet. So Spider, they play this little game. You've seen this on Instagram and Twitter where it says someone gotta go and they put the little, all the different players and things on that nature. So this guy, let me show you this tweet because this guy basically says, who's gotta go? Cut 2 players is what they said. And this guy says cut Donovan Mitchell twice. Donovan Mitchell didn't say a word. He just liked the tweet. That's how you do it. I'm gonna let you know that I saw it, but I'm just gonna move on. I love this user. He says, Donovan Mitchell is way better than Ben Simmons. I would actually agree with that. And then this one's true. Donovan did all that in the bubble just to get crapped on by everyone. Cold world, y'all. It's a cold world. How y'all doing this to Donovan Mitchell like that? This is ridiculous. But let's go on. Go ahead, Devin.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say anything except for I do like that he just liked that tweet. I thought that was funny.
Just move on. We've been seeing a lot of commercials throughout this week, and I know we saw last week a couple, but we saw the what was that? The CarMax commercial with Sue Bird and Steph Curry. That was great, but now we have Tobias Harris and Boban are in a new commercial, and it's fantastic. But let me just tell you right now, the Goldfish needs to get Kawhi to do this, and you're going to see why. So take a look at this commercial.
Really?
They're goldfish. I always go for the handful. I got about 73 here.
Give me that. I get more than 73.
Bobby, get the vacuum.
Go for the handful.
That is great. As soon as he started putting his hand, I was like, his hand is not going to fit in that bag. So for it to just go all the way through, I want to see Kawhi try to put his hand in that bag. But just fun fact, those goldfish are not the best one. The best one are the Parmesan goldfish. Those are fantastic. But Devin, who would you like to see in this new goldfish commercial? Or maybe even the CarMax commercial? Anybody you'd want to see since we're just out here grabbing athletes right now?
Ooh, it's a good. Well, God, I mean, I'm going to say Kelly Oubre Jr. just because he's nice to look at. But I like LeBron in any commercial. Do you remember that Blaze Pizza ad that came out where he was walking down the street and there was that kid who was just on his phone, didn't even notice him? Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love that.
I personally would want all of the Boston Celtics to be in some sort of commercial because the Boston Celtics, to me, is the best looking team in the NBA. So just put them all in commercial. I don't even care what the commercial is. What's my favorite thing in the make a commercial for avocados. That's my favorite thing in the world. So Boston Celtics.
I thought you'd want to do a razor or some sort of deodorant so that there's opportunities for shirtless moments.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of athletes do that Manscaped thing, whatever that is. Look at us just out here giving all kinds of ideas to everybody today. Okay, y'all better listen to us. Dame, you can come to LA. All of the Celtics, You now got an endorsement. Thanks to the Fumble, you guys are so welcome. All right, so let's get into this next one because once again, this one is just levels up my respect and admiration for Vanessa Bryant and how she always represents for Kobe and Gigi in everything she does with her girls. But congratulations to Natalia because she got into USC and she was so happy. Take a look.
I got in. Oh my God. Sanity.
Congratulations. I love this so much. There were a lot. And one of the reasons I didn't post any of the tweets from this is everybody was asking okay, so I didn't know she hooped. I didn't know she is not a hooper, but she did get into USC. I don't think she should be surprised given, who her family is. But her mom tweeted that and said, Daddy would be so proud of you. Gigi would be so proud of you. And they are still proud of you right now here in spirit. But again, she just represents for her family, for her husband and her daughter so often. I know that has to be hard because now you're having these big, huge moments in life where your husband and your daughter can't be with. So, Devin, how did you feel when you saw this this video?
I mean, it's really special. She was able to still get into a really, really good school despite the traumatic and tragic year that she's had. And I'm glad that she has something to celebrate like that. So congratulations. Very exciting.
Yeah. I'm excited to see her go forward and do whatever it is she wants to do. And I think we're all a little bit invested in these girls' lives just to see how because especially, what's the baby's name? The baby one?
Capri?
Is it Bree? What is it?
No, Capri. Isn't it
Capri? I think it's Capri. It's something with a re at the end. I know that. So I think you're right. Capri. And Bianca and Capri. Yeah, I'm just, just to be that young and to never be so young that you probably don't even have strong memories of your dad and all that Vanessa Bryant is doing to make sure that they have that. I could go on and on about Vanessa Bryant all day because I just salute her so much. But let's move on to this next one because we give the NCAA a lot of flack, and rightfully so, because they always seem to drop the ball in one way or another. So they deserve all the flack that they get. This one was weird to me. So let me show you this tweet about apparently what happened to Oregon State players. So the NCAA had a nice parting gift for Oregon State. As soon as they got back to the hotel, they were told to pack up and get on a 1:15 a.m. flight back to Eugene. Everyone had to hurry back and head to the airport. Team arrives in Corvallis, wherever, at 4 a.m. Tuesday. Not very classy. So when I read this, I, of course, was like, damn, like you lost and you just have to bounce like that? That is crazy to me. Like, we're already in the middle of this feeling of, oh, I lost. So then I see this tweet from somebody else, and I think, okay, that kind of makes sense because the first person says Arkansas had a 10 a.m. departure this morning, and then he kind of does that. That's very curious. And so then Taylor Valentine says, I know someone working with the tournament. It was set up like that from day one. If your game started before 8 p.m., that the loser leaves town that night. If the game starts after 8 p.m., they leave the next morning. So it's all traced back to that. Right or wrong, it must have started like that from the beginning. So I'm thinking, okay, if everyone knew that, if everyone knew that they had to leave if they lost immediately, wouldn't you have your bags already packed and already be prepared to leave? Why would you have to hurry back in and pack your stuff? I don't know. Devin, what do you think? Do you think this was planned from the beginning? And if it was, do you think they relayed this information correctly? Because it doesn't seem like the players knew this.
Yeah, I think it's very possible that it was planned like this from the beginning. I just think that they probably received, how when you go to these kinds of like big events or conferences or whatever, and they give you a packet of all this information, and there's so much stuff that you need to pay attention to and that you need to remember. Maybe they just didn't get to that part, or it didn't soak in that they actually have to be packed and ready to go. I just think that it's easy for these kinds of things to get lost in translation or missed, but I don't know. It is a little bit. It probably felt pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin Pryor in the chat says they had to do that because of COVID protocol, which makes perfect sense. I don't know. I wish they didn't have to hurry up and get their stuff. I wish it was like a planned thing where everyone knew. I didn't want it to be hurried like that because losing is one thing. Having to hurry up and pack your stuff and feel like you're getting kicked out is a whole nother. But let's move on to this next one because I am very, very sad about this next one. I don't know what to say. Michael Strahan has this iconic gap. He hasn't fixed it for decades, his whole entire life, because he feels like that's who he is. He didn't need to change it. But apparently those days of feeling like that's who you are and you don't need to change it are gone, because take a look at this picture. Says Michael Strahan is a new man, and those are whole new teeth. He apparently fixed his gap. So then I was like, are you kidding me? For years he had said he would never do this. I don't believe this. But this user posted this and said, oh no, is it an April Fool's? And then somebody said, okay, it could be. So then of course I went on an investigative thing, and no, he has fixed this. CNN did a whole story about him fixing his gap. Not entirely sure why him fixing his gap is CNN worthy, but it is. The iconic gap is gone. I'm super sad about that. I'm probably the only one, but there it is. Let's go on to this next. Devin, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I wonder what the motivation was. Like, why
I don't know.
all of a sudden?
I don't know. And that's the thing. He made it okay to just be your natural self on a nationally syndicated talk show. You know, and he said it over and over again. This is who I am, and I'm okay with it. So what you have to believe that changed. That statement of I'm okay with who I am has changed in some way. So I don't know. It could be too those little. It might not even be that he actually got his gap fixed. It could be those fake teeth that you can. You know what I mean?
Like dentures?
Could be that. Yeah, it could be that. But still, I'm disappointed. I don't know. I'm disappointed. I love that gap so much. But let's go on to this next one because Coach Bruce is out here getting a tattoo. He made a promise. He said if they won the Super Bowl, he would get a tattoo, and he is a man of his word. That's on his back. Okay. Okay. I didn't know where it was at first, but now that I see his ear, I realize it's on his back. But I see the shade. You see the hair on the side. So Coach Bruce got a hairy back. That's what I've learned from this picture. But I actually do like this tattoo. But Tampa Tom is out here doing what he does best, and he's trolling his head coach and letting him know that he's going to get a tattoo as well, or has gotten. Y'all, I need y'all to know this is fake though. He says, "Looks great, coach. I decided to get one too." So if you can't see in the bottom, that's Bruce on the boat holding up his beer. And so now Tom's got it. Yeah, that just looks so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. But the infamous boat ride. And then now we're going to put that. Why would you put it there? Like, I understand that this is a joke and you're trolling, but you couldn't troll it on your calf? Okay. All right, Tom. I'll go with it. I'll go with it for sure. This next one, I want to get into this next one really quick because this is my favorite thing in the world. If you guys haven't seen this video going viral with the police officer who was out there playing basketball with some kids. First of all, his run for the NBA did not work out. I believe this guy used to be a Division I basketball player because if you haven't seen the original video, my man got mad handles. And so a kid went up and started recording it, and now he's giving back to him because that video went viral because the kid kept calling him, "Oh, that's Curry. That's Curry right there." So now the officer is giving back to him, and I think this is adorable. Take a look.
You was the man. Everybody's talking about how you was the man. You're the best hype man ever, right? You the reason why my video went viral. So I wanted to gift you with something, all right? Do you remember when I hit the jump shot and turned around? You know what you were saying?
Oh, that's Curry. That's Curry. That's Curry. That's Curry.
Curry, right?
Oh my God!
Yeah. So since you was my hype man, I'm gonna be your hype man right now.
Yeah.
Look at you. Fresh pair of Currys. Yeah. Hold on, I got something else for you though. Here, look in this shoe. Here, look in this shoe.
Oh, look in this
It's
shoe.
got more Jordan that Curry in it.
I was.
You want to be gifted.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
look at you.
Yeah.
Now you need to go get your little sweatshirt.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man. That's for you.
What
you
you
being
say?
that's for
Look
you
out.
being
Look
that's
at
for
him in
you
his
being
face.
the best hype man ever. You calling all my shots Curry. So now you got a fresh pair of Currys
Yeah.
now. Man.
Oh.
I swear this almost made me cry because that is what we need more of. We need to see more moments like that, and just the love between these two is just perfect. I love how he looked in the shoe though and said, "Is Curry in there?" Curry's little, but he's not little enough to fit in that shoe. So that is just the most adorable thing I've ever seen in a long time. Well, in a long time. I've seen other videos like that, but this one is just fantastic. And shouts out to this officer for taking time because you did not have to come back and do that. So shouts out to that officer for doing that. So let's get into this next one. Let's go into what we not gonna do, people, because this one's gonna be fun because I know a lot of you in the world and quite frankly, sometimes you guys here in the chat, you always want to keep politics out of sports, which to me makes zero sense because things that happen in politics affect us all, including athletes. It doesn't matter what your economic class is, although we all know the 1% has it a little bit better than all of us, but politics affect us all, no matter if you're in sports or not. So I find it a little curious that with the way things are going right now, Georgia has taken this stance. Now, here's the thing about politics. You can really affect politics if you have money and if you have power. We know that that's a given. We don't even have to debate that. The organizations that we know, specifically on this show, that have power are the NFL, the NBA, the MLB. They have the money and the power to affect change if they wanted to. And it's not beyond the realm of possibility that an organization like that would want to do that. Because if you guys remember, in 2017, I believe it was, North Carolina created this transgender law where transgender people were banned from using bathrooms or something like that. They couldn't go into bathrooms. They created this whole law to basically ostracize transgender people. And the NBA was like, okay, this is what we're doing? Cool. We're going to pull our all-star game from you. And we're not going to come there, which made that city lose millions and millions of dollars. And of course, ended up causing them to revisit that and ultimately, change that law. This is why I don't agree with anybody who says keep politics out of sports, because politics, again, affect us all. And we're talking about the state of humanity versus a game. Politics should be everywhere. It should be on all of our minds at some point. So here we are in 2021, and you guys know we talked about the WNBA going out there and doing everything they could to make sure that they voted out these racist Republicans. They did a huge job, specifically in Georgia. WNBA did that. Stacey Abrams did that. And of course, LeBron James and his More Than a Vote campaign did that. And they succeeded. They succeeded in getting out the racist regime, well, part of the racist regime that was there. But now, because of that, because they really went out and told people, hey, come out, you got to vote, you got to vote, you got to vote. They had record numbers in the number of people who went to the polls. That was nationwide, but specifically in Georgia, they had record numbers, especially in the runoff, of people who came out to the polls. Because of that, the Republicans are now retaliating, and they are creating this this voter law that really is like Jim Crow. If you don't know what Jim Crow is, go Google it. But it's really like a Jim Crow law. It's a law specifically designed to create voter suppression in Black and minority neighborhoods. There's no other way to look at it. That's what it is. It's making it so now if you don't have you have to have a driver's license just to fill out an absentee ballot, which I filled out my absentee ballot. I didn't need a driver's license, and I dropped it off at the library because that's where the box was. So they're going to be removing the drop boxes. They're going to make the drop boxes are only going to be located in early voting locations, which means you have to get it in early or you can't get it in. And it's not going to be in places like I said, where people are going to vote. We had that here, and that was nationwide as well. So the same places where people were standing in line to vote, if you filled out your ballot, you could go in and drop it off. That's out in Georgia now. You can't go to libraries and drop it off, and it can only be at a designated place. And then on top of that, you can no longer, and this don't make a lick of sense, you can no longer, when you're standing in long lines, a couple of friends and I did that. We went out and passed out water and stuff in the first election, the primary election, we did that. And so that's illegal now. You can't pass out water, you can't bring chairs, you can't pass out food to voters who are standing in line. So the reason why this is a big deal is you have a lot of people down in that area who might have some sort of medical condition, or they're elderly, and they might not bring enough water to get. It took me, when I stood in line the first time, it took me, I think, 3 hours to stand in that line. That is a long time. Yes, I brought water. Did I run out? I did. And then I didn't bring anything to sit on. So I had those moments in time where I was like, I'm just not going to do this. This isn't worth it. I'm tired. And so people started coming up, handing out water, things of that nature. So this is literally all to stop Black and minority people from voting, because they came out in record numbers to try to stop this. So now people are calling on the Major League Baseball to do something similar to what the NBA did in North Carolina in 2017. So the Major League Baseball Players Association is trying to persuade the MLB to set up things in a way that they can kind of support this situation. And we know that the MLB did support LeBron James in his More Than a Vote campaign. So they're trying to figure out a way to say, because I believe it's what's coming up in Georgia. There's the big game for the baseball is coming up in Georgia, and they're asking Major League to pull it the same way the NBA pulled the All-Star game. And this might go because the Major League Baseball did help LeBron in his More Than a Vote campaign, and we know that now LeBron is part owner of the Red Sox. And it not only that, but we do have Maverick Carter and Magic Johnson, who are also part owners in the Major League Baseball. So I'm hoping Major League Baseball would be the last organization on the planet that I think would, and that's not true. Hockey would be the last organization. NASCAR would be the very last organization that I think would stand up for something like this. But I think it would be dope if now that, and I don't even think it should be just because LeBron is part owner of the Boston Red Sox now. I think that it should be because it's the right thing to do. And you have this opportunity to tell this state, if you continue to do this, if this is where you want to go, then we're going to pull this game out and you're going to lose millions and millions of dollars that you can't afford to lose, really. And I think taking that stand as this organization, as not only because baseball notoriously has the similar problems, and I think it would be, number one, a good look for Major League Baseball, and I think it would be a good look for the world to see that we're just starting to stand together when people do dumb racist stuff like this. We're just not going to stand for it, and we're going to come together, and we're going to figure out a way together to stop it. And that's the message that I think people miss. It's not about, oh, this is politics, this is sports. It is about humanity and how we can come together to stop evil when it happens. And so I'm really hoping that Major League Baseball does this, because this would be another hash mark to hopefully get me up to the point where I actually think Major League Baseball is moving in the right direction. But Devin, what do you think about this? Do you think that Major League Baseball would end up pulling that game from Georgia to make a statement?
I would like to see that happen. I'm not totally sure that they will, though. I think that the NBA has been really amazing in its willingness and ability to be kind of like a factor in the progress that we see. But I don't know that I see the MLB doing, handling things in that same way. So it would be incredible. I'm just not super optimistic that would happen. But I do think that we need, I know that you say NASCAR would be the last league to do anything, to support or to act out against voter suppression. But we did see even NASCAR was, they got rid of the Confederate flag. They said that that's banned, so even we're seeing leagues like that handle things and approach things a little bit differently than they have in the past. So I don't want to be completely pessimistic, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really see it. I don't really see it happening.
I would lean on that too, just because of what we know about Major League Baseball, and especially their lackluster display of some sort of unity during the social movement. That was the most trash display I've seen. But LeBron, this is something that we know is probably going to be very important to LeBron. And now that he has a small voice, obviously he's not a major owner, but now that he has a small voice, I'm sure he'll use it. And Magic Johnson, the two of them probably will get together. At least I hope, because again, even if they don't do it because they really give a damn, it would be great for their image to really say, okay, enough is enough. We're going to at least look like we care. It would be great for their image. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Well, that wraps up what we're not going to do, you guys. Not need to know news. I'm already back at the top of the show, but we will be back with more need to know news, more post up, and more what we're not going to do tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you tune in, subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment below, share this video with your friends, and thanks so much for chiming in the chat. You guys are great. You guys had a lot of amazing things to say today, and I absolutely love that. So we'll have a lot to choose from for Fan or Foe on Friday. We'll be collecting comments and chats tomorrow as well. So get your fingers ready for some whatever you want to do, trolling, complimenting, whatever it is. And we'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye, guys.
Bye.